Hi, it's me again. Just a quick disclaimer. I don't even know if I need to do this, but it just makes me feel better. This story that you're about to hear, it's not my original material. I heard it somewhere. I mean, I'm 47, and I heard the story originally. I don't know where I heard it or who told it me. So, if you've heard the story before, then it's not. I I basically add bits to it, and I sort of make it, my little story. But I'm not the original artist that did the story of the Blue Cloud. So yeah. With that being said, please enjoy what turned out to be one take. I was amazed that I actually did it in one take. So yeah, even if you've heard the story before, which I'm sure a lot of you have a listen to it. As you know, I change it a lot every time I tell the story. I never tell it the same way twice, which is another reason why I've done this. So it's there now. This is the addition. So yeah, enjoy. Thanks. Bye. Blue Cloud, take one. Hi, yeah, this is Mozzie Moz. Basically, I tell a story, a very good story, and I get quite a lot of requests for it, and so I thought what I'd do is I would just do it, put it on YouTube, and then I don't have to tell the story anymore, because it's up there. So, okay, this is my first take. Oh, there's going to be so much takes on this. Basically, the story starts with a little character called Tommy. I might have to do a script for this, actually. I'm just thinking. I don't know. We'll give it a go. Excuse me. Anyway, our story starts in school, and little Tommy comes into class, and his mate says to him, he says, "Hey Tommy," he says, "I bet you a fiver you wouldn't ask the teacher a question." So little Tommy says, "What, a fiver? For what?" "Just ask the teacher a question." So he says, "What question?" He says, "Ask the teacher what a blue cloud is." So he says, "What, and you're going to give me a fiver?" He says, "Yeah." "Alright then, no probs." So anyway, the teacher comes in. Little Tommy puts his hand up. He says, Miss. And what? The teacher goes, What's the matter, Tommy? What's the matter?" He says, "Can I ask you a question, miss?" She said, "Yeah, go on and ask me the question." He said, Miss, what's a blue cloud?" And the teacher just looked at him with this blank expression, with a hint of rage in her eyes. "Come here, you." So he goes to the front of the class, and she grabs him by the ear, and she takes him to the door, opens the door, says to him, "You get to the headmaster's office now, and you tell him what you've just said to me. Now move." Off he goes. So he gets to the headmaster's office, and he's sat there because the headmaster's out. And anyway, the headmaster comes back, and he says, "Alright, little Tommy," he says, "what are you doing here?" He said, "I've never seen you outside my office before. What brings you here? You better come in." So he goes in, he says, "Take a seat." So he says, "Right, so what seems to be the problem then, Tom?" He said, "Well, sir," he said, "came into class today, and my mate betted me a fiver that I wouldn't ask the teacher a question. So I asked the teacher a question, and she sent me to come and see you." So he said, "What on earth did you say to the teacher?" So he said, "Sir, I asked the teacher what betted me a fiver, you see. So I asked the teacher what a blue cloud was." He said, "You what? Stand up for a start off. Get off that chair now. Stand up." So he picks up the phone, gets to the receptionist. He said, "Get me Tommy Woods." Tommy Wood. Oh my god, I've given the character a second name. It's the first time the character's had a second name. I know, Tom, it's not based on you. Although, no, it's definitely not based on you. No. Anyway, but that's his name now. His name's officially Tommy Wood. So he gets Tommy Wood's mum on the phone. He said, "Look," he said, "I'm sorry about this," he says, "but I'm going to have to send your Tommy home. He says, I don't want him anywhere near my school. I said, I can't have this kind of behaviour in my school. So his mum says, what? Tommy? What do you mean? Well, what's he done? He's a Class A student. He's good at everything. He said, look, I really don't want to discuss it over the phone. I'm sending him home. Make sure there's someone there for him, and I'll let him explain. So he puts the phone down. You, out. So Tommy now leaves the school and he gets home. And his mum answers the door. So he goes in. His mum follows him in the front room. And she says, what's happened, Tom? I mean, are you mixing with the wrong, He's about 10, by the way. Maybe I should have made that point clear at the beginning. Right, he's about 10. What's going on? Are you mixing with the wrong crowd? What's happened? And he says, Mum, basically, I went into class today and my mate betted me a fiver I wouldn't ask the teacher a question. I asked the teacher a question. She grabbed me by the ear, led me to the door and told me to go to the headmaster's office. I waited outside there and they took me in the office. And then he phoned you and he sent me out of the school, never to return. So she looks at him and she goes, what's the matter, son? I mean, is this because we wouldn't let you have a puppy? He says, no, Mum, no, it was just a bet. She said, what on earth did you say to this teacher? He said, Mum, he said, I didn't know what it, I just want to make, I didn't know what it meant. I said, right. So she said, just calm down, just tell me. What did you say to the teacher? Come on. Mum, I asked the teacher what a blue cloud was. And his mum just stands up and walks out the room and shuts the door behind her. And he hears the footsteps of his mum going up the stairs. And he's just stood there, just sort of like, what's going on? And about 5 minutes later, he hears his mother's gentle footsteps coming down the stairs. And the door opens, and she walks in with a little carrier bag. And she hands it to Tommy. With tears in her eyes, she says, Tommy, she said, I've tried my best, she said. It hasn't been easy without your dad being here, but I can't do no more. I've got your brothers and sisters to think about. I packed you, I packed you some clothes, and here's a tenner. I'm sorry, son, but and she walks into the door, and he's saying, Mum, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? And he starts, and she's dragging into the door. She opens the door, and she throws him out the front door. She goes, this is no longer your home, and she shuts the door. Little Tommy is now walking the street, and he's crying his eyes out, and he's got his little carrier bag. And all of a sudden he hears a voice, a familiar voice, a voice that normally he feels safe with. Tommy, Tommy! And it was his granddad walking on the other side of the road. So little Tommy just sees his granddad and runs to his granddad, jumps up and hugs him. And he's got tears in his eyes. And his granddad looks at him, puts him down, looks at him, he says, Tommy, what's the matter with you, son? Calm down, calm down. He said, oh, granddad, what? Oh, I've had a day, oh. He said, just calm down, come on, wipe the tears. What's the matter, mate? Yeah, sit here, let's have a sit down, come on. You just calm down. You just relax. Just calm down. And he dries his tears. He puts his arms around little Tommy and he says, come on, son. I'm your granddad, you can tell me anything. What's the matter? Oh, granddad, oh. Oh, and he's clinging to his granddad. Feels so safe. He can tell his granddad anything. Him and his granddad, close as ours. There's certain things that you can only tell your grandparents. You certainly would never tell your parents. So he looks at his granddad and he looks up at his granddad. He says, Granddad, oh, he said, just start at the beginning, just relax, just relax. Do you want to wear this? No, you're okay. Just chill. Just start at the beginning. Now, what happened? He said, oh, Grandad, he said, I went to class this morning and my mate betted me a fiver that I wouldn't have to teach her a question, so I asked the teacher a question. She grabbed me by the ear, took me to the door, told me to go and see the headmaster. The headmaster took me into his office. He picked up the phone, he phoned my mum, he took me out of the school, he said never to come back again. My mum, she packed a bag, at which point his Grandad looked down and noticed it was an Aldi's bag, but a bag all the same. And she told me that, she said that I was just too much. And she thought it was because I didn't get a puppy, but she wasn't. It was just a bet, Grandad. It was just a bet. And she threw me out of the house, and now I'm here with you. And his Grandad looked down at him and said, oh my God, son, what on earth could you have possibly done to cause such a calamity? And he looks his Grandad in his eyes, those kind, loving eyes, those safe eyes. And he said to his Grandad, he says, Grandad, I asked her what a blue cloud was. At which point his Grandad just grabbed his chest. He's gasping for breath. And his Grandad is literally just having a heart attack right there and then. And this kid is like, oh my God. And there's people in the street, and some woman comes running over and starts giving him CPR, and someone phones the ambulance. So they're in the ambulance, and his Grandad's being rushed to the hospital. And the little kid, you know, he gets dragged along with it, because obviously they think they're together. Why else would a 10-year-old be in the middle of the street? So he gets taken to the hospital, and he's in the hospital with the nurse. And about an hour later, a policeman walks into the room, and he looks down at this little boy. He says, are you Tommy Wood? He says, yeah. Is your Grandad here? He said, yeah. Right, he said, well, I'm going to have a word with your Grandad, and I'll be back with you in a minute. He said, I'll take you home, don't you worry. He said, don't you sit there. So he goes in to see the Grandad. He says to the Grandad, he says, now listen, he says, I've heard, I mean, is it correct what I've heard? That, I mean, I'm here to, let me get this straight, I'm here to arrest your grandchild, the 10-year-old that I've just seen in the waiting room. Is that why you've brought me here? He says, officer, he says that is exactly why I brought you here. He said I can't even call him a child. I can't describe it. All right, just calm, just relax. Just take one. You're all right. There you are. Oh God, this stuff is right. Yeah, it's not all right. Well, you take one of those if you need it. Just relax now. Come on. I don't want you getting worked up. Do you want to start at the beginning? So he says at the beginning, he says, I'll tell you what. I said, just relax. Just come on now. You don't want to bring on another one. Oh, he says, I've known that child for 10 years. And he was such a sweet, he was a fantastic child. He was a fantastic, well, yeah, okay, but I mean, can you sort of like tell me what, the situation is? He said, I'll tell you, officer, well, I'll tell you what you told me, that's the best I can do. He says, right, he said, well, allegedly he went into class this morning and a mate of his betted him a fiver that he wouldn't have to teach her a question. So he asked the teacher a question. She grabbed him by the ear, took him to the door, told him to go and see the headmaster. He went to see the headmaster. The headmaster phoned his mum, told him that he was never to come back to the school again, and sent him on his way. His mum then packed a bag, told him that, she'd done the best she can, and wondered if it was because she didn't let him have a puppy, but he claims it wasn't. He claims it was just a bet. And then he left the house, and he saw me in the street, and I'm 72, right, and I've fought in wars, I've been in sailor bars, and I mean, I've seen some stuff, you know. I mean, you know. Oh, and he grabs his chest, and the police just relax, just relax, just relax. Now, come on. Do you want a drink? Do you want some water? Please, please. Thanks. It's right. Just relax now. He said, "Can you?" Well, what he said to me next, officer, I don't want to repeat. I prefer to write it down if you don't mind. I reserve my right to be silent. So the officer looks at him and said, "Well, it's not really normal." He said, "Please, officer." He said, "You know, if I could, those words leave my no." So the officer said, "Oh, okay then, right." He said, "Well, I'm going to write down now on this piece of paper with this pen. All right. I'm going to write down on this piece of paper what he asked that young lady." So, right. Now I want you to understand, officer. This is why I don't speak it. These aren't coming out of my mouth. All right. All right. So, you know. So there. And he just looks at he said, "Wow. Oh, right. You just," and he walks out the door with his bit of paper in his hand, and he goes into the waiting room. "Thomas Wood, on your feet now. Come on, turn around. Fucking handcuffs him, right? Drags him out, honest to God. Drags him out. Takes him to the police cells. He spends the whole night in the cells. The next day, he's straight in the courts, and he's got this solicitor with him. And the solicitor comes up, and he stood there, and the judge is there. And the judge comes up. Nice judge. Happy judge. Fair judge, you know. The kind of judge that you want to go up if you, anyway. So little Tommy comes up and he stood there, handcuffs. Right. If it had been a few years earlier or a different country, ball and chain probably, but you know, just Britain, handcuffs. So little Tommy stood there, and the judge says, "Right, you know, who's brought this kid in front of me?" So the prosecution comes up and says, "Oof," he says, "Oh, my lord, it's a very complicated. Well, it's not. It's a very yes. Just get on with it. What is it? Just tell me what the kid's done. I mean, you know, how old is he? 10. What's he done? Come on. I haven't got all day. I've got golf at 3. Come on." "Well, my lord," he says, basically, according to this child, when he entered school this morning, a friend of him betted him a £5 note that he wouldn't ask the teacher a question. So he asked the teacher a question, and the teacher allegedly grabbed him by the ear, took him to the door and sent him to see the headmaster. The headmaster then phoned his mother, told him that he was never to return to school again. He went home. His mother then promptly explained to him that she couldn't cope no more, that it was just too much, packed him a bag and packed him on his way. He then met his granddad and nearly fatally gave him a heart attack. And then PC Jones got involved and kept him in the cells overnight, and we've now brought him to you now. I would rather. I mean, basically, what he said to this young lady basically caused a man to have a heart attack. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Could I possibly come to the bench? Yes. Just come on, hurry up, come on. So he gets up to the desk and he says, basically, my lord, I want anonymity. And the judge looks at him and says, "What are you on about? Fucking anonymity? What do you want anonymity for?" My lord, what I'm about to say now, I just want, you know, some sort of like safety net, because, you know, it's caused a man's heart attack, and if anything happens to you, and get on with it. Jesus, I've been in this job nearly 63 bloody years. Get on with it.
Okay then, my lad. The accused asked the teacher what a blue cloud was. Right, that's it. Hang on, right. I'm pausing this. This is pausing. Just give me a minute. I need to go in my chambers. So the judge storms out, goes in his chambers, gets on the phone. Get me the Prime Minister of Britain. So he gets put through to the Prime Minister of Britain. And he says to the Prime Minister, he said, look, he said, I'm really sorry about this. He said, you know, I wouldn't normally call you at home. He said, but he said, I've had a case brought in front of me, and it's quite a difficult one in 63 years of, you know, I've never had anything like this, and I've had a lot, as you know. So the Prime Minister says, yeah, what is it? Go on, get on with it. So he said, I had this kid, and allegedly this kid had gone into school, and a friend of him had betted him a fiver that he wouldn't ask the teacher a question, so he asked the teacher a question. She dragged him out by the ears to the door and told him to go and see the headmaster. So the headmaster then phoned his mother, and told him that he wasn't to come back to the school again. So basically his mother then explained to him that it was just too much, she couldn't cope no more. So she packed him a bag and sent him on his way. He then met his granddad. What he said to his granddad caused his granddad to have a heart attack. His granddad promptly got him arrested. He spent the night in the cells, and then he was brought in front of me. And it took me quite a while to get out of the prosecution what it is that this child's supposed to have done. But yeah. Oh, I've got dry throat. I've really got dry throat. It's like being back in the 60s. Anyway, never mind that. But basically, there's only I can't just get on with it. What is it? What? Basically, I don't know if you call this a code. There's no bloody code for a. Just tell me, what is it that this child is supposed to have said to this teacher to cause this teacher to send him out to see the headmaster, to cause the headmaster to then ban him from the school, to cause his mum to disown him and chuck him out the house, to cause his granddad to have a nearly severe heart attack, to cause PC Jones to arrest him and spend the night in the cells, to have ordered him brought in front of you? What did he say? Well, allegedly he asked what a blue cloud was, and the line just went dead, and then a voice came on and said, we'll be straight back with you, just give us a moment, we just need a quick, just hold the line one moment. And this music starts playing. Anyway, about 2 minutes later, phone. Right, okay, we're sending someone around. Just don't worry about it. Just keep them there as long as you can, and just adjourn the case. Just adjourn the case, and we'll deal with the phone. So he comes back upstairs, adjourns the case, takes him back down the cells. He's deported. Right, and he's deported to Paris. So he gets to Paris and he just gets booted off this plane, and that's it. He's not allowed to stand. He's not allowed to come anywhere near Great Britain. He's completely banned, and he's still 10, and he's like, wow, this is just shh. And he's just walking the streets, and after about an hour of walking the streets, he finds himself in this alleyway, and dead long alleyway. And it's one of those alleyways where it's at the back of loads of shops, so there's, lots of waste, and there's people having cigarette breaks, and so he starts walking down, and he can smell the food, and he's starving. And he notices at the end of this alleyway, because it's a dead end at the end, a group of people sat there around this fire, and he walks over to this fire, and then he feels his tap on his shoulder. And he looks, and there's the kind eyes that he's only ever seen once. And that was in his granddad's eyes, just before he had the heart attack. and he could smell the beer and and obviously, well, not obviously, but it turns out, I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but it turns out he was an alcoholic. And he looks at this, he says, hello, hello. And I can't do a brilliant French accent, so, hello, hello. He says, what brings you here to Paris? And the little lad looks at him, and I'm here to keep warm. What brings you to a dirty back alley like this? And the little kid just looks at him and he says, I just want to be warm. Yeah, just stay by the fire. Keep warm. Tell me your story. So the little kid looks at him and he thinks to himself, what can you possibly do that hasn't already been done? But then he thought, what if he has a heart attack? What if I kill him? And he just thinks, you know what? So he sits down, and this alcoholic, gypsy, homeless person, not necessarily a gypsy, depends on which part of France you come from. I don't know. Anyway, he wraps his coat around and just keep him warm. He said, tell me your story. So he says to him, well, I went to class one morning, and a mate of mine betted me a $5 that I wouldn't ask the teacher a question. So I asked the teacher a question, and she grabbed me by the ear and walked me to the door and told me to go to the headmaster's office. The headmaster then phoned my mum and said I was never to come back to the school again. So I went home, and my mum packed a bag telling me how hard things were, and that it's okay, feel the passion, feel it, that's it. Tell me, what happened next? Did she hug you? Did she tell you it would be alright? Just looks at him and says, no. She just gave me a bag and told me to leave, that I couldn't come home. So anyway, I walked for a while, and then I found my granddad, and he had a heart attack, and then it's you feel the passion. Oh, you're doing so well. I feel for you. I would give you a drink, but no, you look too young. Tell me. It's like a poet. So the ambulance came, and then I spent some time in a room while they looked after my granddad. And then a policeman came in and took me away. And then I spent a night in the cells, and then I went to court, and then they adjourned everything, and then these men in black suits, and they took me away, and I went on a plane, and then I landed, and then they just threw me out, and then I walked. It's cold. I feel the cold. And then I found myself in this alleyway. I could smell food, kitchens. And I walked down this alleyway. And now I'm here with you. And the alcoholic looks down at him and says, wow, I felt that. Tell me. What was it? What did you say? What were the words to cause so much calamity in someone's life? He looked at him. He said, I asked what a blue cloud was. Men, yeah, what? And the boy just looks at him, but he's got kind eyes, and the boy just gets a feeling, a sense of it's gonna be okay. And the alcoholic looks down at him and says, boy, you are such a methodical quail. Oh, I've never heard. I've worked with poets, I've worked with playwrights, and never have I heard a word with such power. Well, I mean, do you know what this is? Do I know? I know. Tell me, please, tell me. I mean, my life's been turned upside down. You know, just please. And he looks at him, he says, how old are you? He says, you look so young. He says, I'm 10. He's 10? I couldn't. No, I just... I tell you what I do. I tell you. You'll come back to me on your 15th birthday. To this alleyway. At this point. At this time. It's 3:15, by the way. And I will give you the information that you seek. Now go. And he gives him a couple of euros or francs. Depends on when the story was told, really, but euros. We'll give him euros. Gives him a few euros. Go. Live, and then come back to me in 5 years' time. So he spends the 5 years living on the street, living rough, making money the only way he could. You know, he would shine shoes, and he had wonderful adventures, some hard, some, you know. And his birthday came. He was 11, and by this point he'd met some friends, and they'd looked after him on the streets. And then his 12th birthday came, and he started becoming more wise and more, you know. But he never, ever discussed the reason of why he was there. His 13th birthday came and went. Happy times, sad times, cold times. And then his 14th, and then finally his 15th birthday came. And he knew exactly where he wanted to be at 3:15. And he went to that alleyway, and the same smells that originally dragged him there were there. And he walked down that alleyway, shivering with anticipation. And right at the bottom of the alleyway, sitting right in the same spot, warming his hands on the same fire cove, was the alcoholic tramp that he'd met 5 years ago, to the day, to the minute. And he walks up to him and he says, Sir, it's me. And the tramp looks at him, and there were those eyes, those kind eyes, that he'd only ever seen once before his granddad had a heart attack. And then he looks at him, but he was 5 years older now. He'd been out in the elements 5 years longer. His eyes were not as good as they used to be. And he looked at the boy, who was now quite tall, quite built, after his 5 years of living on the streets. Who are you? It's me, it's the boy, little Tommy Wood, me. I came here 5 years ago. Wee boy, I've had a lot to drink since then, and my eyes are not as good as they were. Can you tell me anything about yourself? Why? He says, yeah, right. I was the kid who was betted by his friend, a fiver, that I wouldn't ask the teacher a question. Then I asked the teacher the question, and then she sent me out of the class. She grabbed me by the ear, took me to the door, sent me out to see the headmaster. The headmaster then phoned my mum. He then said that I was never allowed to go back to the school again. So when I came home, my mother explained to me that it was just too hard for her. I was just too much out of control, and she packed me a bag and sent me on my way. And then I met my granddad, and then I gave him a heart attack, and then we went to the hospital, and I was in the room, and then I was there for ages. It felt like forever, and I didn't know what was going on. And then PC Jones came and took me into the cells, and I was there all night. And then I went to the courts the next day, and then the guy went to the judge, and then the judge stormed out, and then it was adjourned, and then the guys in black suits came, and then they took me onto a plane, and then they kicked me out the plane, and then I was walking, and I came down this alleyway, and then I saw you, and then I told you, and you said to me, you understood, and you promised me that if I went out and I survived the elements for 5 years, you would give me the information that I seek. What is this information? You know what I want, old man. You know what I want. I want to know what a blue cloud is. Tommy Wood. I see. Well, you have truly done what I requested. You have gone out, and you've lived for 5 years on the streets of Paris. And you've grown. And I think that now you're ready. Now you should know the meaning of a blue cloud. The thing that has nearly destroyed your life, but at the same time made you the boy that stands in front of me now. Yeah, man. Yeah, please. Okay. See straight down the alleyway. Yeah. You see that big church at the end, opposite? Yeah? Okay. You go to that church. You see there's a Father Joseph in there. You tell him that Claude sent you. You ask him, and he will tell you what you see. He says, oh, thank you. And he hugs the guy. He hugs him with so much strength. And he's run, and he's waving back to him, and he's just so fucking, oh my God. And then he gets hit by a bus.